Hi friends, it's Ashley and welcome back to the channel, and it's the start of a new reading vlog. And we are going to be reading a new YA fantasy release. This just came out this month of June, this past Tuesday, and that is Shadow Reaper by Lynette Noni. Part of the reason why I'm so excited for this is that this author wrote one of my favorite YA fantasy series, and that is The Prison Healer. And so when I found out she was writing a new YA fantasy, I had to read it. And this is supposed to be a dark YA fantasy, and the little blurb on the back says, "He was a reaper, she was a hunter, sworn enemies now and forever." That makes me so excited to read this. And I just have to say, like, this cover is gorgeous, and so are these edges. I just love the whole design of this book. But without further ado, I'm gonna go hop right into this, and I'll be back after I read some to give you my first thoughts and to tell you a little bit more about the story. Very interesting. So our main female character has braided red hair with unusual silver streaks and startling lavender eyes. I just finished chapter 2 and things are already getting juicy. Okay, so I'm only on page 38, but I needed to check in because we just met the love interest, and the chemistry and the tension between him and the main female character is already like so good. It's already making me feel giddy, and we're only on page 38. So let me just give you a quick rundown of what has happened so far. So in this book, we are following our main character, Viri, and in her world there are reapers, and they are people who siphon the magic from other people. And by doing so, it gives them enhanced senses, increased speed and strength. So they're kind of like vampires. And then, so they are considered the big bad in this book, the evil ones. And then on the flip side of that, we have the hunters who go and hunt them down. And so Viri is a hunter, and something happened 7 years ago where the Reapers killed her parents. And so she is now seeking revenge against them. And so that led her to join the hunters. And now it turns out at the beginning of the book that a Reaper who is very close to the Reaper priest, who is like the head of the Reapers, the leader of the Reapers, has been caught. And so of course Viri needs to go speak to him. And this Reaper that was caught turns out to be her love interest. But the thing is, she knows him from her childhood. Like, she used to have a crush on him. But everything changed that 7 years ago when her parents were attacked and killed, and like he abandoned her and went off and joined the Reapers. So now they're meeting again for the first time in 7 years, and right off the bat he is just calls her Little Shadow, and she's like, "Don't call me that," because that was her nickname. So he already has a nickname for her. So that made me giddy. She's trying to ask him questions, and he completely surprises her by saying, "Who hurt you?" And she's like so thrown off by that, and he repeats, "Who hurt you?" And that's because like she was injured in a fight the night before against another Reaper. And so I'm already getting he'll burn down the world for her vibes from him. And so it's just like making me giddy. And I feel like I can already tell that this romance is just gonna be so much fun. On page 59 now, and there's just a mention of dragons, which I really wasn't expecting, and I'm wondering if that's just like a one-off thing or if we'll actually get to see dragons in this book. Hi, so it's the next day, and I'm here with a reading update because I have made it to chapter 10, page 127 in here. And so far, I am just having the best time with this book. It's just been so much fun so far. And this pulled me in right from page 1. And I know I talked about earlier yesterday how we had just been introduced to love interest Reeve and how I was already loving the dynamic between him and our main female character Viri, and that continues to be true. So where I'm at in the story right now, Viri has just like broken him out of prison, and their dynamic just continues to be so much fun. The banter between the two of them is already like top tier. And they're reminding me a little bit of Clary and Jace from the Mortal Instruments from the Shadowhunter series. And Viri, just like in general, her character is remind me a little bit of Clary, although she's more like a mix between Clary and Isabel, because Viri already has fighting skills and is actually kind of like a prodigy among the hunters. And she also, her weapon that she fights with this magical whip, which again was giving Isabel vibes. And then the love interest Reeve is just like giving Jace energy. Like he knows that he's good at what he does and he isn't afraid to flaunt it. And then like the feel of this book and the world in general is just like giving me Shadowhunter vibes as well. Just has that same exciting, magical yet dangerous vibe to it that the Shadowhunter world also has as well. However, while the world of the Shadowhunter series takes place in the modern world and the Shadowhunter world is hidden from like regular people, within this book, it takes place in a completely fantasy world, and everyone there knows about the existence of Reapers and Hunters. And speaking of the fantasy world in here, just like the magic system and the world building has been so interesting and intriguing so far. Right, even before the book begins, there is a glossary of terms that shares some like terms that are unique to this world, and so those help ease you like into the world of this book before actually starting it. And that information at the beginning of the book feels like just the right amount of information. It doesn't feel like too much. It doesn't feel info dumpy. Then the beginning pages of the book set up the foundation of this world using those terms. And so we learn that in this world you can be born with or without magic. But when you turn 14, everyone has to undergo this process called impartation. And that process involves giving up your magic to power these ward stones that protect their island. And so the ward stones protect people not only from Reapers, but also this black mist that surrounds the island and cuts it off from any other place. And that's another thing that I'm very intrigued by so far, is this black mist and how it's supposed to be deadly. And so like I'm wondering exactly where did it come from? And then the ward stones taking your magic also protects you from the Reapers, because the Reapers feed off of magic, but they can't feed off of you if you don't have any magic. And so that's why Reapers primarily now feed off of children, because children still have their magic until they turn 14. Also interesting is that we get little tidbits in here that pretty much reveal that this isn't how life always was on the island. At some point, these ward stones didn't exist. This mist didn't exist, and people were able to live with their magic. However, what is very fascinating is that Viri has a friend who dabbles in alchemy in secret, because alchemy is outlawed, because there's no alchemists left to teach people how to properly use alchemy safely. And then speaking of Veri's friend, another aspect of this book that I'm liking very much so far is the strong family and friendship bonds in here. So we learn early on in this book that Veri's parents were killed by the Reaper priest, but despite that, she is not alone. She is still surrounded by people that love and care for her. And after her parents' death, she was taken in by the head of the Hunters, and so she has lived the last 7 years with that person and their daughter. And in these beginning chapters, you get to see like the strong relationship that is between the three of them and how much they love and care for each other. And then in addition to that, she has another friend who she's also very close to. And so just like the tight-knit bond between all of them has just been so heartwarming to see and read about so far. And so I'm just really loving how there's already strong found family vibes in here. And then, in addition to all that, there's also a mystery going on in here that's keeping my eyes glued to these pages. And so I can't wait to read more of this, which I'm going to go do now. So I think I'm going to read a little bit more physically for a little bit, but then I'm debating switching over to the audiobook so I can get some cleaning done, and I also have to start dinner soon. Okay, so I'm on page 140. And Viri and Reeve just arrived at a safe house, and Reeve just pulls out a bunny. Viri wasn't expecting that at all. It makes her do a double take, and then she says, "You can't have a pet bunny," she spluttered. "Bunnies are cute and sweet and floppy, and you're evil incarnate. this goes against the laws of nature. And then Reeve in response says, "Firstly, thank you for implying I'm not floppy. I'm flattered you noticed." He winked, causing Barry's cheeks to warm even as she scowled in response. "Secondly, evil incarnate is a step up from asshole, so I'll take it. And thirdly, Walnut isn't mine. He just likes me more than most." That's just like one example of their dynamic and how fun it is and like why I'm loving it so far. So I'm now on chapter 30, page 399. So I just wanted to give one final update before I finish this because I have less than 100 pages left. So far I'm continuing to have the best time with this book. The romance continues to be lots of fun. The magic system and the world building also continue to be a lot of fun and very interesting as well. And also there's been plot twists in here too that I didn't see coming. Like I knew there was something that was going on, but I did not guess what the actual plot twist was. And I know from this author's other series, the Prison Healer series, that she's really good at doing plot twists. And I'm also afraid about how this is going to end because it's the first book in a series. And the author in her other series always had like the most painful cliffhanger endings. So I'm really just scared to see how this is going to end. But that being said, I need to know what happens next and how it's going to end. So I'm going to go finish this now. I'll be back later with my final thoughts. Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. That's so sad. Is that how that ends? Is that how that ends? Okay, no, there's another chapter. Thank goodness. It could not end like that. Hi, so it has been a few days since I finished Shadow Reaper, so I am here with my final thoughts, and I absolutely love this. The last like 100-ish pages of this were crazy. There was so many revelations, and each one was like crazier than the last. It did end on a painful cliffhanger as I expected it to, so there was that. And then another thing I loved about this book was that even though it was a dark fantasy, it never got too dark, and it actually had a lot of warm-hearted moments in it. And those warm-hearted moments in here were definitely due to the characters and their relationships. For example, very strong bonds of friendship with her friends and her mentor, and so from those relationships, there were some like really warm-hearted and wholesome moments. And one of my favorite relationships in here was the dynamic between Very and the love interest Reeve. And their relationship dynamic was just so much fun and also really sweet. And I just loved seeing their relationship progress throughout the book and also getting to know more about them as the story progressed. And speaking of the story progressing, I also loved like how the story was told, how it was set up. So we get to learn about the story and the world building through the present by following Very's story, but we also get journal entries that are from the past as well, in which we learn more about the world and magic system of this story. And then those two forms of storytelling end up like linking together and like syncing up by the end of the story, and just how it all comes together is just so satisfying to read. And I really love the world building in here and the magic system, like the Reapers and the Hunters was just so cool. And then one of my favorite parts of the magic system in here was seeing Winter, Very's best friend, come up with all her different alchemy potions. That was just so fun, and I was always looking forward to see what she came up with next. And overall, this book was just very much the type of YA fantasy that I personally love. I would definitely recommend this book, especially if you're a fan of YA fantasy, if you like books with strong found family vibes. And also if you are a fan of the Shadowhunter books, because I feel like this book very much had those same vibes. Let me know down below if you read this, what you thought of it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye!